So as I mentioned, as discussed the other time, I think to continue engagements, there was a request that we create a group where we can have like a more hands-on interaction with our facilitator. So I think that is also available, and then it will be the link to the group will be shared in the chat. So if you're interested in joining and then interacting more with our facilitator, you can click and then join that group. Also, we also have some amazing resources we'll be sharing with you. So just keep your eye on the chat box, and then once we are there, you can just have access to the resources. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Great. So may I know if those who just joined are first timers, whether they are beginners or intermediate? If you can ask them that.
Okay, so for those of you joining for the first time, do you have any experience with coding? Are you a first-time coder? Have you had any prior experience with coding? If you have, kindly use the raise hand button or just type yes in the chat box. Then we can know if you've had any experience. Okay, so Nadia says she's somehow a beginner. So yes, we have a first timer and then a beginner here. So you are new, so it means Nadia is you've had some experience with coding, but you are still in the beginning stages. Okay, so thanks, Nadia. Anyone else? Okay, Elvis is also a beginner. Okay. Harry, beginner with no prior coding experience. Okay. Elvis has had some experience with coding. Okay. Good to have you all.
All right. So I think we don't have. Do we have last week participants here?
Do you have anyone here who joined last week? No, I don't. Okay. So Harry joined last week and then he's here again. So thanks, Harry, for joining again. So we have one person who joined from last week. Sure. Oh, okay. So Elvis says he watched it on YouTube. Okay. Good. So I think it's time to officially begin.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start from last week. We'll share some recap from last week and get the new people to try their hands on, just so that everyone is apart with what we are doing. So last week, like Joshua said, we learned about coding, what coding is, why should we learn to code, and what can be made with code. We said coding is a process of telling the computer or giving instructions to the computer to perform a task. And then we went ahead to give examples of some of the coding languages that are existing. There are so many languages, thousands of languages. But at the Ghana Code Club, we start with Scratch because Scratch is what excites children. And it's very easy to use to learn the concepts of computer programming. We also said, ask why it is important to learn to code. We touched that coding, if you learn to code, you can solve real life problems. Yes? Can you mute your computers, please? Because I'm getting feedbacks from here. We also touched on why we should learn to code, and we spoke about some of the benefits. When you learn to code in the digital world, we know that computers computer knowledge is everything that is needed in all industries. You'll be given the opportunity first before others. We also said we proceeded to try something with code, and then made an animation with Scratch. So at this point, I would like you to open your Scratch interface. Those who already have it, let's know if you have it opened so that we can try our
How many of us
hands on.
have the Scratch already installed? Okay. So as I mentioned, the link to the Scratch software is in the email I sent, but you can just go to scratch.mit.edu to download the version for your PC.
Last week, we also spoke about some concepts in computer programming. We learned about sequencing, we learned about loops and algorithm. We said algorithm is a set of instructions that are given to the computer to perform a task. We also tried an example, giving a set of instructions to maybe a robot to do something. Okay, today we are going to do exactly that. Maybe instruct a robot to jump 5 times, jump up 5 times on the stage. We'll try that. Now, we spoke about sequencing. Sequences, I said, is the order in which we give the instructions to the computer to complete a task. We all know computers are powerful, but they are not intelligent. They will only do exactly as they are told in the order they are told to do it. So we are going to give instructions today to make a simple app. This year, since this year is a voting year, maybe we'll make a simple voting app as well as a simple game. Okay. Then when you get home, I've given some projects out. You go out there to try it. Those who are interested to join the WhatsApp will also join for us to keep coding. Then after the Scratch, you can decide to try your hands on the real life test languages. Okay. Now today, what we are going to learn today, we'll still create a sequence of instructions to make a simple game. We'll learn to use the keyboard as an input to control the movement of a sprite. We'll also learn about the X and Y coordinates in Scratch. Then we'll learn one more concept, conditional statement, in fact, two, conditional statements and variables. We'll learn what they are about. Last week we spoke about the sequence and loops. We said loops keeps repeating an action over and over again. Then further, we'll task ourselves to create extra backdrops and extra levels for our game as we are going on. All right, I placed this here for you to try your hands on to see if you can give instructions to the robot down there to move to the cat up there. This is a maze game. Sometimes we have fun like this offline before we get online. Yeah, I said we'll be creating a voting app. All right, those who have opened Scratch, can you, since it's your first time, can you move these blocks? I'm going to stop sharing this and open Scratch if that is okay. I will stop sharing this and open the Scratch interface.
Whilst Madam Tina is opening Scratch, this program is brought to you by the US Embassy Ghana, partnership with Mobile Ghana. During the session, we're making available some resources, amazing resources which you can make use of. Just keep your eye on the chat box. The links will be put in there for you to have access to. So let's just find more information. And then also, all communication should be in the chat box. Our mics and our videos should be off, so we don't have like external feeds coming in whilst Madam Tina is presenting. If you want to ask any question or answer any question, you type your questions in the comment section or the chat box, and then we'll address them accordingly. If you have anything, you can just use the raise hand feature too as well. and then we would ask the question as time goes on. Second before.
All right. So I'm trying to open Scratch. Scratch is available on the web. You can get it at scratch.mit.edu in case you've not downloaded anything. Okay. All right. So this is the interface, the Scratch interface that does wonders. You can learn robotics from here, learn to create animations, to learn other subjects from here. You learn math, you learn science, whatever subjects you want, you can create animations to learn from here. Now, these are for those who are new, these are the programming blocks. These are the set of instructions that will be given to each sprite. Sprites are characters that we all know in Scratch. If you want to choose a sprite, you get down here, you point down here where it says choose sprite. Hold on. Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Choose a sprite. When
Yeah.
you choose it, you realize there are a whole lot of characters here. You can also make your own. You just don't have to be using other people's work all the time, especially for those who are artists. All right. Now, if you want to make your own sprite, you point the mouse here to where it says paint, and then the paint box comes. Then whatever you want to draw, you can use the tools here to draw it, convert to bitmap, to do whatever you want to do. Maybe make a circle, draw a triangle, fill it with color. It becomes your sprite. Those people who can make human beings or whatever character you want to draw here, you can draw. Now, to add a background or a setting for our sprites or our characters not to look boring, you get here where it says choose a backdrop. Backdrop are settings that we know in real life. So you click on settings to say where will the action be taking place. Example, today we are going to create a voting app or make a simple game, a good boy and a bad boy game or something. We have to think about where the setting is going to be at. If you want the blue sky, you choose it. Whichever you want, you choose it. Okay. So now we know how the Scratch interface works. If you don't need to use any character, you simply delete it from here. Delete it, then back to coding. Hold on, I'm trying to rearrange my stage. All right. Now, like I said, these blocks, one is motion, looks, sound, events, control. These are all the place that the codes are hidden. If you click on motion, for instance, well, I've not chosen any sprite. That's why it's not coming. So let me choose a sprite. All right. So now if you click on motion, for instance, you see all the movement instructions. Example, I want to move this ball. I want it to move 10 steps. I'll just instruct it like this. Move. When I click on it, you see it moving. Okay. If I want it to glide, I'll say glide. And once I hit on it, you see it's gliding on stage. If I want it to keep gliding forever, repeating over and over again, I get to control to choose the loops. We said loops repeat actions over and over again. I select my loop block and I instruct it to keep gliding on stage forever. Now, if I need this to spin, maybe be turning around, I still get to motion. Remember, motion has to do with movement. I'll instruct the character to keep turning. And you see, because I looped it, I instructed it that over and over again until I stop it. And to stop all the sprites, to click on the red button. To run your program, you click on the green button. Before the green button will be activated, you have to go to the events block palette to choose an action block. Okay, event causes actions to happen. So right now, when I say, if I instruct when the green flag is clicked by anyone at any part of the world, click this green button, this instruction, this sequence of instructions should happen. Exactly what is happening. Okay. So this was basically what we did last week. And we had a girl dancing. Let's see. Let's try and make a character jump up and down. To do that, we want it to repeat at least 5 times, jump up and down. So we'll say when the green flag is clicked, we always use the event button to start giving instructions to a sprite because the computer reads from the top. When this is clicked, we need this character to jump up and down. And one of the things we are learning today will be the x-axis and the y-axis, or the coordinates in Scratch. This stage is made up of the x coordinates and y coordinates. Please be looking here where it says x and y. When the sprite is moving up, you see that it's changing into a positive number. Here, y is changing. All this place is y. Going up and down is y. It's changing. Now when a character is coming down, y is changing to a negative number. We are going to learn about it and use the keyboard to give orders for the sprite to move. And then when it's going to the right, you see to the left, you see x is changing to a negative. Now when it's moving to the right, you see that x is a positive. So let's give an example here. I want this ball to jump up and down on the y-axis. What I will do is when the green flag is clicked, I want you to change the y-axis. When it's going up, it's 10. Now wait 1 minute and come down again. Please, I'm going fast, but you'll soon follow, okay? And we'll also be giving you some guidelines. Maybe wait 1 second and jump down again. When it's coming down, it's a negative, okay? Let's see, we want to get this sprite jumping up and down, 0.1. Okay, I need you to repeat this for a number of times. Okay. All right, so I've given it a sequence of instructions. Let's see what will happen. I said when this green flag is clicked, change y by 10. So let's see what happens. You see that the sprite is jumping up and down, and it jumped for 5 times or 10 times because that was the instructions you gave it. You put it in a loop. Repeat is also a loop, okay? Now, if you change the number to say 50, you see that this sprite will jump for 50 times. We can even change the numbers here, the speed to maybe, let's increase it to 30 and increase and decrease this by 30. Let's see what happens. Okay, now it's jumping at a further speed. All right, so please, you just take your time, explore with all the blocks, Click on the motion blocks and see what it does. Click on looks. Looks has to do with the animation. If I want this to start changing colors, there is a way I can give instructions for it to change colors. Let's say I want you to change color after every 25 seconds. So this is the instruction I'll have to give to it. Change color effect by 25. Let's see what happens. So it has changed color. If I want it to speak, it will talk, communicate, so try all this. If you want to add sound to the stage, last week we did all this. So I'm just taking a little time to go through again with the new people. Please, is there any question at this point before we proceed?
Any question before we proceed? Yes, you can watch the full video of last week's session on YouTube. The link is in the email, so you can just click on it and then get a full recap of what happened last week. At this point, do you have any questions before we delve into creating our game? So
Okay.
I think, Madam, you can continue. When the questions come, I'll just signal you and then pause and then you address them as you go.
Oh, okay. So before we proceed to our real game, let's learn a bit about variables. What variables are? Variables are a piece of information, a placeholder for a piece of information or data, and it keeps changing. Example, scores, lives. When you are playing a game, most of the time it starts with a number of lives. So at a point, you lose 1 point and then continue until you exhaust all your lives. That is an example of variable creating data and into the computer's memory. We'll try to use data to make a simple app and then call it a voting app, okay? Now the voting will not be between President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo. What we'll do is we'll vote on foods. Foods will be our Sprite here. So choose any 3 or 4 fruits that of your choice from the scratch library. I see apple. I've chosen apple. I'm choosing bananas. So mommy is trying to ask what fruits we should have today. So we're going to vote on, make an app to vote on which fruits we should have. I don't see any other fruit yet. Okay, let's click on food and see if it. I see strawberry. Yeah. Let's add one more. You see how to use the Scratch interface. All these is just showing you how to use this. And I think those are the only, okay, watermelon is here. Nice. Great. So anytime the concept will be like this, anytime someone clicks on Apple, it means maybe Apple should record a +1. When I click on banana, it should record 1 vote when I click on this. So anytime I click on Apple, it should record a vote. How do I do that? It's so simple. It's just adding 1 line of code and everything is going to work out. Now, remember we said all the buttons, the start button starts from events. Event causes actions to happen. So you have to click on event first at every time. Now, what we were trying to say is when this sprite is clicked, it should record a +1 mark. How do we get that mark? We are going to create variable. We have to create a variable into the computer's memory. How do we do that in Sprites? After you move your first button, you go to variables here to make your own variable. I'm making a variable called apple, okay? So let's make for this sprite only. Remember not to choose for all sprites. is for this sprite. The vote will be for this sprite only. Okay. So I have recorded data into the computer's memory to use at any time I want it to be used. Okay. Now, so I'll say when this sprite is clicked, maybe change Apple's vote by 1. So change Apple by 1. Every other languages have its own way of writing their code. This is how we write it in Scratch. To get a vote for Apple, anytime Apple is clicked, we want Apple to record +1 vote. Let's try it and see. Okay, so all along I was coding watermelon. Do you see that watermelon was the one highlighted? Meanwhile, I was talking about Apple all this while. So this code was supposed to be for the Apple. I can just easily carry it like this and put it into Apple. Let's now click on Apple. Apple has its own code now. Then we delete the one for watermelon. Okay. Now let's do, can you try the same way we created this Apple? Let's try it and see. When I click on Apple, it has to record +1. Change. Okay, let's try it again. We'll go over everything again because it's not changing. Let's try it again, okay? Now, we said when this sprite is clicked, yeah, change, make a variable. I'll make the variable again because I don't know whether it affected because I click on watermelon. Make a variable, call it Apple. For this sprite only. We'll be deleting the other one soon. Okay.
So whilst Madam Tina works on her variables, please, those who just joined, kindly turn off your videos and your mics. So we're using the chat box primarily for all communication, so we can give full attention to our facilitator, Madam Tina.
Okay.
If you have any questions, just type it in the chat box and then we'll address them. You can also use the raise hand feature to address all questions. Thank you. Tina.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to see why Apple isn't changing. All right, let's click for the other ones and see. When this sprite is clicked, change make a variable. Let's make another variable and call it for banana. All right, for this sprite only. So anytime someone clicks this, I wonder why my codes are not working at this time. I really wonder why. Because I even tried it this morning. Yeah.
Yes,
for
those of you,
does anyone have their own working? Has anyone tried on their machines and has this code working? Can someone try? Yes. I'm trying for strawberry too. When this sprite is clicked, make a variable and call it strawberry. For this sprite only. All right. Haha. Okay. So please, I'll find the I'll try to debug this, see why this isn't working for now. Let's try to make the good boy and bad boy game right now, okay? But please, can someone try this, the same thing I'm doing on their machines with the Scratch to see if these codes are working, if the numbers are changing, because it's very, very important for me to know. Yeah. Take one moment. Joshua, ask because it has to work. All right.
Yes, okay. Yes, so those of us practicing along, have we tested it and then is it working?
Has anyone tried?
Yes, so if not, you can type in the chat box. Yes, and then I think Madam Tina will also be available after this session so that she can look into it for us. So
Yeah.
there'll be a group link which we made available so we can continue the engagement over there. So I think Madam Tina, you just go ahead with the
With the game
game
for
for today.
today. All right. So
For
today we are learning. Yeah. So like I
so
said,
for
we are
those who
learning about the X and Y coordinates. We are going to learn how to use the computer keyboards to make a game. Most of the time when we play games, we use the arrow keys and or any of the keypads on the computer. We are going to learn how that is made possible. To learn that, we'll first of all get to events to drag out this block when space key is pressed. When you drag this out and click inside, you see that all the keypads are embedded within this block. All the keypads, when you go down, you see it. For the purpose of this lessons, we are going to use the up, down, right, and left arrow keys. How do we get that out? After you drag out when space key is pressed, click inside this arrow button and select the first one, the up arrow key. We are going to use all these to give instructions to get the sprite moving, either to the left, move up, move down, or move left. All right. So I've selected the first one. I'll drag it out again and choose the down arrow key. I'll choose it 4 times. Again, choose the left or the right arrow key. Again, choose the left arrow. All right. Now I have because I want to give instructions using the arrow keys, I've dragged all that instruction out. Now, if it's going up, Y must change by a positive number. Please, you should always keep this in mind. Anytime the sprite is going up, the Y coordinate changes by a positive number. So I'll get to motion to select, like I demonstrated before, that Y should change by a positive number. You can give any number of your choice. Okay, so now when the down arrow key is pressed, Y will have to be changed with a negative number. So I'll change Y by a negative number, maybe minus 20 as well. Now, when I'm moving on my right, I'm on the x-axis. On my right and on my left, I'm on the x-axis. So when I'm on the x-axis, I'll have to change x by a particular number. So I'm changing x now by a positive for the right. Okay, positive 20. And when I'm on the, I want it to go on the left too. It has to be a negative 20. After this, let's try our code. I hope this one works because the first one, I didn't know why it was doing that. Okay. This one seemed to be working perfectly. Please, later, we'll still go back to that voting app, okay? Because I tried it. It was very interesting. All right. Now my sprite is moving as I instructed it to do. Okay. Now let's get a companion for it. Maybe a ball that is moving at random on stage. I'll come here to select my ball, choose a sprite. a ball or balloon or whatever you want it to be. This ball, I'll instruct it to move at random on stage so that anytime it's touching, if you don't move fast, using the arrow keys to direct this card and the ball touches it, the card will have to lose one life. Okay, so we'll create variables here as well. Now let's give instruction to the ball to be moving at random on stage when the game begins. To do that, we'll still go to events and say when this green flag is clicked, move at random. And movement has to do with what? Motion. So you know your instructions will be here. So go to random position. That is the order we have given to this ball. But you see that it will just move once and it will stop. And it's so boring. So what do we have to do? Can someone type in the chat box to tell me what kind of instruction we have to give this ball to move at random? Yes, I'm waiting.
What block do we use to make our sprites move at random? I think most of our participants joined in
Late. All right. So we'll have to use a forever, a loop, to wrap around it,
the
to
chat box.
instruct
Whenever
it
the
that
answer comes out,
keep moving.
is
Yeah, keep moving at random. And this is so, the speed is too much. We can try to decrease the speed. Let's try and add a wait 1 second to the ball to see if it can decrease its speed. Let's see. Yeah, maybe we can say maybe move at 0.5 seconds. All right. Okay, that's what we want. So when the green flag is clicked, depending on our sequence of instructions, we'll see what will be happening to the ball. It's your responsibility to be moving the cart so that the ball doesn't touch it. If it touches it, we'll be losing one life. Now, how do we do that? We have to create data into the computer's memory. Let's tell the computer that when the game begins, you should start with at least 5 lives. So we'll stop this and go to variable again to make a variable, call it lives. Okay, let's call it lives. Okay, we call this variable lives so that anytime we start, it should start with 3. How do we do that? You come here and set lives. You click on this instruction that when the green flag is clicked, set lives to 5. So we are starting with 5 lives, but anytime you are touching the cat, you lose 1 life. How do you give that instructions to? We'll have to get to, that's where we are learning about the if or conditional statement, the selections. We are learning about if or else statements. If you are touching an object, then do something. So the if statement is waiting, the computer is waiting for it to tell it what to do before it proceeds. Okay, so if you are touching, forever, if you are touching, let me put it here. If you are touching, and the touching is under sensing. When you go home, go and explore all the blocks. If you're touching the cat is sprite 1. Do something. What should I do? Maybe make a sound. Let's play a sound, a very simple sound. Let's play this sound. Let me see what kind of sound this is. Let's see. No. So let's play a pop sound. You can choose whichever sound you want of your choice. When you go to the sounds tab, go and explore it and choose whichever you want to choose. Okay. Now, after you play the sound, one of your lives should be lost. So we come to
Lost,
data
yeah.
into the computer's memory to say you change lives by a negative number, change lives by 1. Okay, let's try and see if this variable is going to work. We said when the green flag is clicked, start, we should set lives to 5. So this one has, changed. And anytime the ball touches you, you should lose a life. So you see that your variable will keep decreasing, okay? And we also said it should play a sound. So you are hearing the pop sound. Okay, now let's see. It's up to you to keep dodging. Otherwise, when it touches you, you are going to lose a life. Now let's see what will happen. Even after 0, if it touches it, let's see what happens. Okay, it gets into a negative number. We don't want that to happen. And so let's apply a little mathematics here. Let's apply this code that when your data equals 0, you should stop. You should stop the game. How do we do that? We still come to variables. Before we bring out this lives, we have to get to operators. Operators will help us to input the variable here. When life equals, so if lives equals to, before this thing always accepts the operators. When you see this kind of shape, you have to come to operators and know exactly which operators to use. If you want to tell it example that if maybe the distance is less than 50 or whatever, you use the less than or the greater than signs. Now we said if life is equal to, okay, we have to put our data into the circle in the operators. If life equals 50. So we'll go to data to bring lives. Please, when you go home, just practice. This is really not, it's not hard at all if you keep practicing, okay? So if lives equals 0, then what should happen? We should stop all the game. So come to control and say stop all. So because I've been using Scratch for some time, I know where all the blocks are. When you practice for the whole day today, you also know exactly where the instructions are. It's just like knowing how to apply your speak whatever language you want to speak at any time because you keep practicing, okay? All right, so let's try this series of codes to see what will happen again. Now, when the green flag is clicked, I have to be dodging to prevent the ball from touching me. But still, the ball is touching me, right? And I'm losing lives. But when it equals 0, the game has to stop. Let's see if the game will stop. All right. Right now, our lives equals 0. So every action stopped. We can go ahead and add more lives, add a backdrop. Even here, we've not added any backdrop. To add a backdrop where the action is taking place, we can just click here to make our game interesting. Add something, maybe the beach. Okay, this game is being played at the beach. Now, if I want to go ahead to add another backdrop to say, ouch, I've lost or something, I'll make my own. I can just go to paint and then use the text box to click something. You can convert to bitmap to use this. Maybe, ouch, I lost. And then make some emotions. Let's try to draw something and fill it with So go and play around. Okay. Now, let's see the brush. Make another thing. Black.
Whilst Madam Tina is customizing her end screen, I have a bit of information for
Please
you.
go and make your own stuff, okay? You can play with all the tools here to come out with something nice. So in case you want to create the code, to tell it that out, you've lost. Meanwhile, when the game starts, you don't want to see the backstage. There's a way to give instructions to it. The instruction we want to give to the backdrop is when the green flag is clicked, you should hide. I don't want to see you. Okay, you should hide. Please, I think that would be another level. So let's just leave it here so that you can practice. And another time with all the other projects I've given you, we'll go through to make something. So I'll just delete this for now so that we focus on the first part. Okay, so at this point, let's take some questions and hopefully go back to our voting app because it has to work. All right. Okay. Deleting this. All right, Joshua, over to you. Today, we're able to make a game that at least that moves a sprite using the key parts. We're able to get a ball touching it, learn about the conditionals, and also loops. We apply loops here as well. So if there is any question, let me know now. Thank you.
So yes, at this point, we'll be taking questions on what we've done so far. Within this few minutes, in about 20 or so minutes, we've been able to create a simple game where we have a ball and then a cat, two sprites interacting, and then whenever their paths crossed, the cat loses a life. And this is just a simple concept, and then we're able to develop a simple game out of it. So, do you have any questions, especially for those who joined us today? Do you have any questions? So, Madam Tina, how complex can a games be? You know, using the Scratch Studio. How complex? Like, you know, we have some mobile games that the more you advance, it becomes tougher.
Yeah, so how complex can Scratch be? It can be very, very complex. I just showed you, you can go to the Scratch community to see some examples. When you go to scratch.mit.edu, get samples of games that will inspire you. We'll also be saying there are also so many resources online that are free to be used. So try your hands on it, keep going deeper and deeper, and come back to tell me how complex it is.
And apart from, you know, from the first session, we tried some animation, and this time around, we are doing some games. What else can we do with the Scratch Studio?
We can make a quiz. We can generate poems. We can even create a times table. I have projects on that. How to learn mathematics, to learn English. We have a poem generator. I think I sent some to you. You can create quiz using this, create other apps, like the voting thing I was talking to you about also. So many interesting stuff with Scratch. Create animations to learn other subjects. Maybe someone doesn't understand what evaporation is. In your own mind, maybe you know you can use animation so a child can learn better, because children learn when using visuals better. It sticks in their mind. So maybe you want to design that for them. You can use Scratch for it.
And then I know you answered this question last week, but for those who join us today, in your opinion, how much time do you think one needs to be able to master the Scratch Studio before they move on to other languages?
Please, you can master it today, just in a day, and you can also master it in a week. It depends on your passion. Someone sees this and knows that, yes, this is what I've been waiting for all along. So the person will do whatever it takes to understand the concepts and start creating cool stuff. Another person might not be, it might not be of interest to another person. So it depends on you. Okay. Yeah.
So before we take our next question, we have some resources I'd like to tell you guys about. It's called the e-Library USA. It's a state-of-the-art digital library with 9 premier electronic databases. That includes digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. Usually, this resource is only available to use in person at our American spaces, but with the global pandemic, we've closed access to them temporarily. So if you're interested in using these resources, kindly sign up using the link in the chat box to the eLibrary USA, and then you'll be given access to these links. And also to continue this studies, there's a link to a WhatsApp group where a facilitator will be available for certain periods to engage you more on what we've learned so far. So, Madam Tina, at this moment, we are still taking questions. So the link is in the chat box. You can kindly click on it to sign up. Elvis is saying the Scratch app is not compatible with my device. Please, can you shed more light on the type of device you're using? Yes, but generally, the Scratch Studio has 2 features. It has the web app and then the one you download on your PC. So if you're not able to download on your PC, you should be able to use it in your browser. I think once you have a stable internet, you should be able to do that. So Elvis, I think that should answer or solve your question. Do we have any more questions, contributions about what we've done so far? Oh, Madam. So, Madam Tina, I think you can proceed, and then once we have any more, I'll just.
Okay. Yeah. So I was trying again. This time it seems to be working. I click on the Apple and it's actually we wanted the data to be changing. So the first time I really don't know what happened because it's the same code we used. Sometimes it happens to programmers like that. When you're trying to bring out the same code will not work. You'll have to try over and over again to debug. I didn't actually do anything. For now, I think I'll just refresh the Scratch interface and it's changing. So I want you all to create this simple app, okay? The voting app I was talking about. Now let's program the
before you continue. Yes, so Elvis is asking, can I use the Scratch program to, can I use Scratch to program a robot?
Yeah, yes. So the game we just programmed is a virtual robot. Okay, we instructed the board that we said, well, if touching, okay, so they are robots. If touching another object, something should happen. We can use color. When you go to the touching, for instance, okay, we can use color and say, if this color is touching this, what should happen? It's all about robotics. So you can use Scratch. And when you get to the bottom here, there are a lot of resources. You can see it, right? So you can use Scratch to learn about microbits. We have projects in that. You learn about Lego, you program all these makey things. You use Scratch to make music, hardware. So you get your hardware, connect it to it, to code it. So please really, really go and explore it. Use Scratch for robotics. Thank you.
That answers your question, Elvis. So, Madam Tina, you can
Yeah.
proceed with your final demonstration before we wrap up.
Okay, I was just trying to prove to you that the code had been working, and that was it. So let's go ahead and program the banana. We just made a variable and stored it into the computer's memory called banana. So we said anytime the banana is clicked, change the banana's number or increase it by 1. So that's what will have to happen. If I click on banana, you see that it has increased by 1. Select more and try your hands. Add other features to it. Go and read more about Scratch. Add other features to it, maybe sound, whatever is supposed to make your app interesting. Go and try your hands on it. Thank you for now.
So thank you, Madam Tina, for this wonderful presentation. In fact, we tried creating a voting app, something the voting app, and then we did a little game, a mini game where our characters were interacting with each other. And then I think, Madam Tina, I think briefly, can you touch on some of the programming concepts that you used in this demonstrations?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now change by 1. Just want to try to see something.
So whilst Madam Tina is testing, the link to the e-library access is in the chat box, and just click sign up and then
Maybe it has to do with the spelling as well. The spelling. Okay. All right. So I'll share the PowerPoint at this time, the one that we had on the screen, so that we can talk more about the concepts. We spoke about hold on 1 second, please. We spoke about the sequences, about conditional statements, loops, and variables today. We said sequence is the order in which we placed our code blocks, and the loops keeps repeating actions over and over again. And then we also said conditional statements wait for an action, is wait to proceed, sort of. Then variable is a placeholder for a piece of information that changes. Example, when you want to program games in Scratch, you make a variable, call it scores or lives, okay? And once you store it into the computer's memory, it keeps changing. It keeps changing. So those are the concepts we spoke about. I'm trying to share the screen, but I haven't opened it. So you bear with me for a moment. I think, Joshua, you share it with them. I'll give it to you.
So, yes, all the resources that was used during this presentation will be made available after the session. So I think we have it ready now. Would you like to go through the slides, Madam Tina?
Where?
The slide, would you like to say something about the slide before we?
Oh, no. We just said everything that needs to be said. Yeah, we've exhausted everything.
There you have.
These are some. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take 2 more questions before we wrap up for today. Okay. Did anyone try using the Scratch along whilst Madam was demonstrating? If you did, kindly show by using the raise hand feature. I can see Mohammed Yusuf has joined. Mohammed, thank you for joining today. Tina, we have Achi Amalik. I hope I got your name right. Thanks for joining today. Okay. So yes, so Nadia says she started, but she dropped halfway. So I think after the session, you can just go back and then continue. Oh, yes. And then, Madam Tina, so after mastering Scratch, what in your opinion would be like the next step for anyone who wants to pursue a career in coding, whether for professional reasons or I mean personal development reasons? What do you think would be the next thing to
This
do?
that question is quite tricky because it depends on you and what you want to. You have to read a lot. What you want to make. If you want to design websites or become a web developer, for instance, you have to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery to make your your code interactive and all that. But if you want to create other things, you have to learn maybe Python. So it would depend on what you want to make. So read more. What do you want to create? Is it if you want to start with websites, you have to, learn HTML with the web languages. And then if you want to create other things to maybe JavaScript, it depends on you. But most of the time when you learn Python, I think it's fun. It's fun. So they should try their hands on Python. Try to design websites. Yeah.
So after mastering Scratch and then having a fair idea or understanding of some of the programming concepts, and you could try your hands on Python, as said, Valentina is. But bottom line, you have to read more and then know which path you want to pursue. If you want to do web development, if you want to do software development, I mean, there are languages that are more suitable for each of these areas. So you need to know and then equip yourself with that information. So as I mentioned earlier on, we have uh, so Nadia is asking if we encounter a problem while practicing, can we get Tina to talk to? Yes, so yes, you can join the WhatsApp group, and then Madam Tina will be available from time to time to respond to some of your questions and then your. So as I mentioned earlier on, we have the link to the eLibrary USA. It's a premium database with over 9 digital resources which you can use. You can use. It has magazines and then sites for visitations where you can do your research and stuff. Okay, so to wrap up, Madam Tina, what will be your final words before we sign off?
Let's keep practicing. Just like Florence has said, let's keep practicing and also impart the knowledge to others, especially children. Once now that they are home, there are a lot of these kids, especially from the government schools, who are just roaming about. If we can all make the attempt, those who have the devices and the opportunity to learn, just impact your knowledge to someone for free. And that will be a blessing to you one day. You'll never regret it. Because any child who comes across Scratch is so happy to learn. It's as if they were waiting for it all the days of their lives. So just try it on children. Try um, get used to it yourself to teach others. It's not too difficult. We have loads of resources out there for you to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Tina. Yes, so this program is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy Ghana, American Corner of Cuba, in partnership with Bureau of Ghana. Please follow us on Facebook at the U.S. Embassy Ghana for more amazing virtual programming. And please stay safe. Observe all safety protocols, that is, washing of hands under running water for at least 20 seconds. Let's wear a mask whenever we go out, and then let's practice social distance. I think before we sign off, yes, Amalik is asking a last question before we sign off. It says, after Scratch training, we are moving to any of the other text-based languages. So just a comment on.
Yeah, we have HTML, CSS. Those who want to learn can learn. And we also have some projects in Python. So after we can move on to it.
And then final comment from Florence. He says, the more you teach others, the better you become. So I think that's a food for thought for us. So we can continue the conversation on the WhatsApp page. And also you join the US Designer Facebook page for amazing virtual programming. So until next time, it's bye from us.
Bye bye. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.